Good morning. Welcome to Mr. Orr's Flipped Classroom for Grammar. Today, if you are watching this video, you have been given the opportunity to begin the sentence pattern. This is an enriched level of instruction above and beyond grammar labs and normal grammar lessons. Understand that as you're working through this, you get to ask for help. This is a different kind of activity than what you've done before, and you're absolutely able to do this, or your teacher would not have given you the opportunity to start this. At the same time, it's okay to recognize too that you may have gaps in what you've learned from the past and what's being asked of you here. But listen carefully, read carefully, follow the steps, and ask for help and feedback as you work. With the sentence patterns, you're going to have a study guide, notes, and practice document like you see in front of you here. Please note that you're going to have multiple lessons, multiple sentence patterns on each of these documents. Typically, you're going to be in sets of 3, sometimes 2, but usually 3 sentence patterns all in one document. But the videos that you're watching will be timed to separate slideshows. So you might have, for example, with this one, 3 videos for one particular set of notes and practice. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, here we go with sentence pattern 1, compound sentence with semicolon and no conjunction. During these sentence pattern lessons, you're going to see several examples of abbreviations that are used in the formulas, the ways that the sentence patterns are expressed. Some of these abbreviations are familiar. Some we actually haven't talked at all about yet and will be taught as you need them. But some of them are slight variations of what you've already learned as well. For example, instead of SS for simple subject, we're going to use the letter S. V is equivalent to the verb. C is a conjunction or connector. M is going to be used to identify a modifier, such as an adjective or an adverb. SC is a subject complement, such as a predicate noun or predicate nominative. Again, nominative being a fancy word for both a noun or a pronoun. OC is an object complement, something that finishes an object. DO, direct object. IO, indirect object. P is a preposition, a word that shows position or relationship. Or O is the object of a preposition. Some definitions. A compound sentence. It's 2 complete independent clauses that are properly joined together to make one sentence. An independent clause, start with the idea of a clause. It's where you have a subject and verb put together that make the building block of a sentence. An independent clause is where you have a subject and verb that when used together with or without other words, it can be a complete sentence by itself. When you have 2 of those put together, then it becomes a compound sentence when it's properly joined together using punctuation or other words. A semicolon. A semicolon is a comma with a period over the top. Sometimes I refer to this as a comma on steroids. A semicolon can be used to connect related ideas within one sentence. So it's a way of taking 2 ideas that are separated or could be separated, but realizing that they're related and close enough together, they could actually put into one sentence. A semicolon can actually also be used as a stronger comma to separate ideas in a complex series. Think about if you have a list of cities and states. You have to have a comma after the city and comma after the state. But if someone doesn't know their geography, they may not know which things in that series are cities and which things are states. Having city, comma, state, semicolon, city, comma, state, semicolon makes it clear which things are paired together. We'll talk about this more as we get to a series or list in a sentence pattern. Please note, however, you must have a complete independent clause, a full subject-verb complete sentence that could have a period there before it, or the semicolon may not be used. Other definitions. Coordinating conjunction. We've seen this before. Again, this is a connector, letter C. Coordinating conjunction is a commonly used word that connects 2 words or phrases of equal importance. We'll oftentimes call these fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, or so. New term is a conjunctive adverb. This is also a connector. These are more specific connecting words that are typically used after a semicolon and before a comma in a compound sentence. Some of these word examples are however, therefore, then, moreover, nevertheless, and consequently. First sentence pattern. Here's the formula. Notice we have the abbreviations and the punctuation. Both are important in understanding the formula. Subject, verb, semicolon. Subject, verb, period. Let's look at how we combine 2 sentences together. First, we have the original. I went to Augsburg College. My friend Mick also graduated from there. Notice they're two sentences. They have a period at each, capital letter to start each, but they definitely are connected. The use of the word there refers to Augsburg College, so these two sentences kind of go together. In fact, we can put them as one sentence. I went to Augsburg College, semicolon, my friend Mick also graduated from there, period. Notice that what we did was we simply removed the period and turned it into a semicolon. We backed up the second sentence, so it's part of, it's not its own line, it's part of the previous sentence. And we also changed the capital M on my to a lowercase m. You do not capitalize after a semicolon or a colon unless it's already a proper noun. Each sentence pattern oftentimes also has variations, tweaks and twists on it that use the same general idea. 1A, as we'll label it, has a conjunctive adverb following the semicolon. Notice the formula still has subject verb, semicolon, subject verb, period. The difference is we've added a conjunctive adverb, such as however, in with a comma after it in that formula. It's after the semicolon, and that comma coming after it's really important that we use it to separate it. For example, I like dessert, I like tiramisu. Tiramisu is a dessert. So these are two related sentences. Tiramisu, but if you don't know, is an Italian dessert. It's got some cake to it, some soaked cookies, and some cheese that tastes like whipped cream. It's amazing. If I combine the two sentences together, once again, I like dessert, semicolon, therefore, comma, I like tiramisu. Notice I once again change the period to a semicolon. I add the conjunctive adverb, in this case, therefore, with a comma after it. And then the second sentence, I like tiramisu. Obviously, I'm not going to put a lowercase I on the second sentence, even though it's after a semicolon, because it's a pronoun. The pronoun I is always capitalized. Variation 1B. This uses a coordinated conjunction with a semicolon to join three or more independent clauses. So now I have three sentences I'm putting together. The original is, I like dessert, I like tiramisu, I don't like lemon meringue pie. Sorry to offend those who like that. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm adding comma fanboys and then a semicolon. I like dessert, comma, so I like tiramisu, semicolon. I don't like lemon meringue pie. If you wanted to add the conjunctive adverb, comma, you could even say, so I like tiramisu, semicolon, however, comma, I don't like lemon meringue pie. So we can combine these patterns together if we so choose. Variation 1C, last one for today. It uses two or more semicolons to join three or more independent clauses. Obviously, you keep adding too many of these together, it can be confusing for your reader. It feels overloaded. Original three sentences, The Princess Bride is entertaining, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is hilarious, movies from the 1980s are my favorite. If I wanted to combine these three sentences together, The Princess Bride is entertaining, semicolon. Again, period becomes semicolon. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is hilarious, semicolon. Again, period becomes semicolon. Notice the lowercase m now on movies because it's after a semicolon. The Princess Bride obviously starts the sentence capitalized. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ferris is part of a proper noun like a name, so you keep that capitalized. You can combine these patterns together, but you have to understand too that if you create an unnecessarily stringy sentence, that also becomes confusing for your reader and hard to follow. All right, let's begin our work with the sentence pattern notes. So if you haven't already done so, make sure that you go back and use the slides of the video so you complete the blanks to make sure you've got the keywords entered. Notice you have the patterns here as well, typed in, including the variations 1B and 1C. First step, and you'll pause the video after each set to go ahead and work with your group in your breakout room or to get feedback from your teacher to make sure you're on the right track unless you're really confident. First thing you'll do is complete each of the following three sentences by adding an appropriate conjunctive adverb. Bear in mind, you not only have the list here, but you also can go ahead and, the list here. You can also go ahead and Google search conjunctive adverbs, and you're going to find there's some really awesome graphics that organize them by type, like cause or effect, or sequence, or time, contrast, comparison. So those are some awesome resources you can also use to help yourself with that. But go ahead, put whatever word you think is the most appropriate in the blank, leave the comma there, and then come back to the video. Pause it right now and take a look. Do those 3. Go. All right, did you finish those first 3? That shouldn't have been too hard, but I want to give you the chance to get used to the idea of actually putting those conjunctive adverbs in and making sure there's a comma after it. Next step, combining someone else's sentences. I'm going to ask you to use specifically pattern 1B right now to combine these sentences. So again, 1B is where you're asked to use comma, fanboys, and a semicolon to separate 3 sentences. It's perfectly okay to go ahead and do semicolon and then comma, fanboys after that. You don't have to always do it in the exact order that's here. You can interchange those. So you have 2 sets of sentences. The girl looks happy. She has a new car. Her brother has one too. Second set, the tiger seems restless. He is really big. He should have more room. Individually or in your breakout room or with a partner, go ahead and in the box, type in a way to combine those 3 sentences into one sentence. They should not be on 3 different lines anymore. It should be one continuous sentence with the semicolon and comma fanboys added in between the sentences. Watch your punctuation. Pause the video, do this practice. Feel free to check in with your teacher via email or via chat if you want to see how things are going, but definitely work with teammates if other classmates are doing this with you together. Pause the video now. Hey, how'd it go? Again, this is going to feel really awkward, but it's better to start with someone else's sentences when they're words rather than trying to think of words at the same time. But here's the next step. You're going to be asked to craft 3 examples of your own sentences using pattern 1, 1A, 1B, or 1C. Again, 1A and 1A, you only have 2 sentences. 1B and 1C, you have 3. Don't do 4 examples of the same type, but work on at least some that are 1 or 1A, some that are 1B or 1C. They can be in any order, any topic. These are random sentences. Don't feel like you have to tie them together. This is challenging to come up with ideas, and so it might be a good idea to collaborate or partner up with a peer while you're working on this. We'll work together. Don't just copy from someone else. Please abbreviate or please label each of your sentences, and it doesn't matter what order you do them in. If you want to do 1, then 1C, then 1B, that's fine. But do all 3, make sure they're labeled. If you'd like to submit pattern 1 to your teacher after you finish this first pattern before you go to pattern 2, I highly recommend it to get feedback before you start the next day. You also can ask for feedback as you're working. I encourage you also to use the comment function to actually highlight the parts of which and type in the comment what questions you have, as opposed to generally asking or assuming, is this okay? Did I do it right? Make sure you indicate what areas you have questions about, and you're much more likely to get meaningful, useful feedback and help. Go to it.